There is a video, 12 seconds long, filmed inside a butcher shop that closed 11 years ago. No one knows who filmed it. No one knows how it ended up online. But in the video, you can hear a voice that should not be there, whispering the name of a man who vanished the same year the shop shut down. If you're fascinated by real mysteries, terrifying encounters, and hidden truths that most people never hear about, welcome to the Unknown Files X. In the small town of Millbrook, there was a butcher shop on Cedar Street called Hargrove & Sons. It had been there for almost 50 years. Everyone in town knew the owner. A quiet man named Walter Hargrove. He was polite. He remembered everyone's name. And every Sunday, he closed early to visit his brother's grave. Walter's shop was small, wooden floors that creaked with every step, a big glass counter filled with fresh cuts of meat, and a back room that customers were never allowed to enter. He always said the same thing when someone asked why. "That's just where I do my private work." No one questioned it, not at first. Then, in the autumn of that year, a teenage boy named Dylan Foster started working part-time at the shop, sweeping floors, carrying boxes, learning how to run the register. He liked working there. Walter was strange sometimes, but he was never unkind. Until one evening, Dylan noticed something wrong. The back room door, which was always locked, was open just a crack, and from inside, he heard something scrape across the floor, slow, heavy, like something being dragged. He didn't go in, not that night. The next morning, Walter acted normal. He handed Dylan his pay, told him to lock up early, and said he had an appointment that evening. Dylan almost forgot about the sound. Almost. But 3 days later, a woman named Carol Myers walked into the shop looking for her husband. Her husband, Peter Myers, had visited Hargrove & Sons the week before and never came home. Police searched the town. They found his car parked 2 blocks away, keys still in the ignition, wallet on the seat, but no sign of Peter. Walter told police he remembered Peter buying a pound of ground beef. Nothing unusual, the case went cold. But Dylan couldn't stop thinking about the sound behind that door. If you're enjoying this mystery so far, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to The Unknown Files X. It helps us bring you more original mysteries every week. And tell me in the comments, what do you think is really happening? Now, let's keep going. A week after Peter disappeared, Dylan stayed late, pretending to finish cleaning, waiting for Walter to leave for his appointment. Once the shop was empty, Dylan walked to the back room. The lock was old. He'd seen Walter open it 100 times. 3 light taps, then a turn. The door creaked open. Inside, nothing. Just an empty room with a single drain in the floor and a chalkboard on the wall. On it, someone had written names. 6 names. Dylan recognized 2 of them. Peter Myers and a woman named Ruth Callahan, who vanished 4 years earlier. Underneath the names, dates, each one exactly 1 week before the person disappeared. Dylan's hands were shaking. He photographed the board with his phone. Then he heard footsteps. Walter was back early. Dylan hid in the storage closet, barely breathing, as Walter walked past, humming softly to himself. Then Walter stopped, right outside the closet door. "I know you're in there, Dylan." Dylan didn't move, didn't breathe. Walter's voice stayed calm. "You shouldn't have gone in that room." The closet door opened. Walter stood there, not angry, not threatening, just tired. "Let me explain something to you," he said, "before you decide what kind of man I am." He told Dylan a story. Years ago, Walter's brother had been murdered, and the man responsible was never caught. Walter said the police failed him, the town forgot, and he was left with nothing but grief. So he made a decision. He would find people who hurt others and were never punished. People the law could not touch, and he would make sure they disappeared quietly, never to hurt anyone again. Peter Myers, he said, had been abusing his wife for years. Ruth Callahan had been stealing money from elderly patients at the nursing home where she worked. Walter believed he was doing what the world refused to do. "I'm not a monster," he said. "I'm justice." Dylan didn't know what to believe. Part of him was terrified. Part of him almost understood. But then Walter said something that changed everything. "You have your own secret, don't you, Dylan?" Dylan froze. Walter continued. 6 months ago, A girl in your class went missing for 2 days. Everyone assumed she ran away. But you knew where she was, didn't you? Dylan's chest tightened. He had never told anyone. Walter smiled gently. I've been watching this town a long time, Dylan. I know more than people think. That night, Dylan ran home, but he couldn't sleep. The next day, he went to the police, told them everything. The chalkboard, the names, the dragging sound. Detectives searched the shop. They found the back room exactly as Dylan described, but the chalkboard was gone, wiped clean. No names, no evidence. Walter denied everything. He said Dylan had been struggling emotionally, making up stories for attention. Because of the missing evidence, police couldn't charge him. The case was dropped. Weeks later, Walter closed the shop for good. He told neighbors he was retiring early. No one saw him again. Some say he moved to another state. Some say he vanished the same way his victims did. But here is where the story turns. Because 2 years later, a journalist investigating Millbrook's cold cases obtained an old security tape from a gas station near the shop. In the footage, time-stamped the same night Dylan hid in that closet, you can see Walter's van in the parking lot. And in the back seat, a shape wrapped in plastic. The journalist tried to trace the van's later route. It stopped near a lake outside town, then never appeared on camera again. To this day, that lake has never been fully searched. But the twist that still haunts investigators isn't the tape. It's something Dylan said years later in a recorded interview. He said that before he ran from the shop that night, Walter whispered one more thing to him, something the police never made public. Walter said, I didn't choose you to work here by accident, Dylan. I chose you because your name was already on my list. No one knows what he meant. Some believe it was a threat. Some believe Walter never truly stopped watching him. And some believe Dylan was never as innocent as he claimed. The 12-second video that surfaced years later, filmed inside the abandoned shop, shows nothing but darkness and dust. But in the audio, barely audible, a voice whispers a single name, Dylan's name. No one has ever explained how that recording was made, or who was inside that locked building the night it was filmed. If this story kept you watching until the end, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another mystery here on the Unknown Files X. Because somewhere in Millbrook, the back room door is still locked, and no one has ever found the key.